We are recording.
Excellent. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Elizabeth, Jeff O'Dre, Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. And we're going to be enjoying this week the Prisoner Pinot Noir. It's called the Eternally Silenced. It's got a very dramatic bottle. Yeah, that bottle is fantastic.
I just want to be the person that drinks. I think it'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
To the table today.
So anyway, hope you guys didn't have any trouble getting into it with that wax dip on top. Hopefully we told every one of you the trick, which is ignore it and just use a traditional corkscrew, go right through it and pop it up. Don't try and take the wax off or you will be in for a project. Then you have to drink a whole bottle of wine because of frustration from opening your bottle of wine.
There you go.
Which, you know, if I'm selling you both bottles of wine,
It's okay.
all right.
Someone has to pay for Reese's out-of-state.
That's right. On it. So anyway, with that being said, and bottles being opened, go ahead and pour yourself a glass. California Pinot Noir.
Oh, good.
From multiple sources. We'll talk about where it comes from and what effect it will have on the wine. But in the meantime, I give it a quick chill, 30 minutes in the fridge, get it down to around 55 degrees to start our tasting.
It smells smoky to me. Is that right?
Smoky, lots of earth for
Okay.
sure.
All right.
If you don't mind, can we jump over to the first slide? We'll talk about pairings.
All right. Cool.
Excellent. All right, so here we have Eternally Silenced. Willie Wong gives this guy 92 points. It hasn't been around all that long. It's a newer product from Prisoner. About 3 vintage, maybe a fourth.
Somebody said
Consistent 90 plus points. So good pairings because this is a nice robust Pinot Noir. Rather than a more delicate floral one. So this guy's got, like you said, lots of nice earthiness to it, and duck, lamb, and lamb.
Lemon.
That would be lamb and salmon. But if you do like a turducken thing,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
stuff the lamb.
We're just starting new things here.
All right.
It's innovation.
I'm looking forward to some lemon, Boston butt, and mushroom risotto, which does sound really, really good.
There you go.
Let's jump back to us, please.
Okay.
So let's take a quick sniff and a sip. We'll talk about a bit of our initial thoughts before we delve into where it comes from and why it tastes like it does. Like Elizabeth said, this has got a really nice earthy quality to it. I'd say Pinot Noir for the earthen quality can kind of run the range from like a moist soil, which I think is more of that moist soil and like a mushroomy quality,
Okay.
over to dry fall leaves on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I would go much more of that richer version. And then really kind of nice dark fruit, dark, black cherry, and then.
Okay, I don't know what this is, but I feel it in my nose. Is there something for that?
Yeah, that's alcohol. Yeah. No, seriously, I'm not. No, that's not like a criticism of your point. That is a legitimate thing. This
It's
actually,
like a higher ABV.
yeah, this is a 14.5% Pinot Noir, so there is more alcohol. It's a boozy
Okay.
quality to
Okay.
it that walks right out of
All right.
it. So, oh, you're totally on
It's like,
point.
it's alcohol, Elizabeth. That's what happens. Yeah, I definitely have the dark fruits from it too.
Like a black cherry. There's really spicy
Mhm.
and earthy. And there's like clove and that side of the, like the brown spicy side of things, or baking spice.
Mhm.
I see some high fives over there. Someone else found clove. I like it. I could go with like an anise.
Like anise, like licorice.
We already had it.
Yep. little bit of that licoricey quality,
Mhm.
which is a nice intensity on this guy. But there's a nice freshness to it too. There's, it's not a dried fruit.
Mhm.
It's a fresh and almost tart fruit in that you've got like a cranberry quality.
Sure.
And then like the description a lot of people go is not so much that moist earth. They go with like an evergreen, which let's see if we agree with that evergreen. Evergreen popped up a lot in the description. I could go there. To me, I go moist earth first, but
I get evergreen on the nose more than in the.
Jeff, can you define that evergreen?
evergreen, like pine needles.
Yeah, like a pine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I can go with like a little bit of a pine needle thing, but I agree with Elizabeth. I think it's mostly on the nose.
Mhm.
On the palate, it's kind of an earth and a brambleberry, kind of a briary kind of version of that evergreen.
I definitely think it's peppery, and I do get that like a little bit of that like red fruit, kind of that earthiness to it. It's it's great. Like especially like the first opening, it just taking a smell, it was like boom, pepper, in like a good way. And like so like a lot of like red fruit and stuff like that really coming out.
Well, and something else that's kind of interesting about this one, in that we're dealing with a little more robust version, at least part of the Pinot grapes in here, more tannin than either of the last Pinots that we've had.
I didn't think
It has some decent grip.
Pinot.
I mean, you could drink this guy with a lean steak almost,
Or
Yeah.
Yeah, like a filet mignon. This guy could go with that. It can hang.
Mhm.
with the ribeye. We had it with ribeye tonight. It was great.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, this is a very big Pinot. So on that range, this is the it's very very big and powerful for a Pinot Noir. As far as looking at a spectrum, might expect when tasting around the world. This is a very different beast than what we had from New Zealand, from Astrolabe, which was beautiful, and that was kind of a delicate, kind of beautiful, expressive. We talked about floral qualities, and
Right.
and that one was, if I remember correctly, and I think I do, more about dry autumn leaves and that kind of a thing. Anyway,
I
and
find
Pinot has a lot of different flavors.
Is this
It worked with the risotto too.
All right,
a single variety?
Wow.
Okay. No,
almost exclusively,
Almost.
but it's not a blend, but it is a Pinot. It's 95% Pinot.
yeah.
So
What's the other thing?
now the grip probably, now that I'm thinking about it, it's 5% a combination of Syrah and Viognier.
So the grit, so that you're maybe the tannins are that.
It could be.
Okay.
Right. Well, and the thing is, the interesting though, by the way, when you look at those Syrah, all right, we know the Syrah is a nice red. Viognier is a white grape. There's a little bit of white grape juice in this guy, but Viognier has a really heavy body like Chardonnay and
Okay.
floral qualities.
Now this one, it's something you can see through it. That's typical of Pinots, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
For a Pinot, this is very dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just
Little
about to say
water.
it too. I was like for a Pinot though, this is like closer to, if you just hold it up and ask me what I thought it was, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Merlot or Cab. Like
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this guy has got so much color to it. You're right, Chris. This could be a Malbec. Not purple enough. Wrong. I take it back.
yeah.
But Merlot and Cab, it could be. Yeah.
It's not one of those watered down Pinots like Julie and I were talking about last time.
Right. Right. Hopefully we kept Julie happy. So like we forced her to drink some Pinot. Oh, she looks happy. That makes me happy. All right. This guy's aged 10 months in oak, French oak. So that we're not getting a bunch of vanilla on this guy. It's more spicy, like
Yeah.
Chris was saying.
Okay, the American oak is the vanilla.
The,
and
the American oak is more vanilla. Yeah,
More
I-
vanilla.
yeah. I mean, you can get some from French, though I'm not getting a ton here. Only 35% of it is new, and that's one other reason you're getting not that much vanilla.
Okay.
So we talked about some of those guys. Let's look at where this delightful, well, I hope you guys agree with me. I think it is a delicious Pinot Noir. Wine.
This is really.
All right, here we are. Los Estados Unidos. So as will not shock you, we are on the West Coast. Here we are up. Actually, it kind of runs the range from here down to here, where they is from. It's a multi-location cuvee of Californian,
Mhm.
Let me know if you want
Is
more.
that on the list?
which is kind of fun. So here we are. We are going to have a combination of Southern Sonoma Napa fruit, Monterey fruit, and then we jump down to San Luis Obispo area, and then it finishes with some Santa Barbara fruit as well.
Where do they vent it?
So they vintage it back up there.
Okay.
Yeah, but they collect it, so they get some of the qualities from each of these areas, and we'll talk about what those specific qualities are as we go through.
I don't think we've seen something like that before, like where they're like, not in California at least, where it's so spread out.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think we have. We were drinking the Buchenhutskloof
Mhm,
Merlot,
mhm.
which was sourced from north and south within their vineyards
Right.
in Sonoma, but not something that really. This is really a cuvee of very different growing locations with their own special characteristics in California, which is a really fun project.
Chocolate. Really good.
So here we have Carneros. So the majority, 57% of this is from Carneros. So that's that area at the very bottom of Napa and Sonoma. That is very much affected by the bay with cooling fog rolling in. So we have a cool fog maritime affected climate for the Carneros juice, which is 57% of this. And that will give you nice tartness, freshness on there, and a little bit of that kind of nice terroir, because they can ripen more slowly and they grab a little bit more from the area. So, and then we go to the Edna Valley, 17% from the Edna Valley. So that is the part. I don't know if I should jump back each time to remind. That's near San Luis Obispo. In
So
the-
that's the very southern part that we were
That's
talking
in the
about.
middle part.
Little.
I thought that was the southern of where we buy, where they were. It's the middle of California, but it's the southernmost region that they were pulling the grapes from,
No,
right?
actually, no, Santa
Oh,
Barbara.
Santa Barbara, okay. Yeah, I forgot about Santa Barbara. So that, like Sonoma, Napa, then Monterey,
Right,
then San Luis Obispo.
right.
and
So we
then
have, right,
Santa
so we're,
Barbara.
the next amount is from Edna Valley, so that's San Luis Obispo. And then the 13% is from Santa Barbara, warmer growth,
Mhm.
the further south,
Yeah, I had
little more
forgotten that it was
richness.
one further south from that.
Hmm.
So they have to pull those earlier though, right? Because it's so much.
Well, or
warmer.
they just allow them to ripen fully to give it a little more fruity ripeness, which we do have some delightful
Mhm.
big fruit on this wine.
We're gonna love all of this.
So 8% Monterey, we jump up to here. Monterey, because this is very cool water that comes in, is a wonderfully cool growth area, which allows, once again, for a slow ripening of these grapes and gives them a lot of character. And then 5% from the Russian River, which is back up here in Sonoma, great area for growth. It's incredible soil temperature combination that gives such a distinctive quality of kind of a combination of richness, and in that area, really it does create like kind of big rich Pinots, which is why I do love myself some Russian River Pinot. So Carneros, Edna Valley, so the center.
Mhm.
Because we're going not north to south here, we're going percentages.
Okay.
I know that's why I'm jumping around
Yeah.
a little bit, just to make it clear. Jump down to Santa Barbara. Jump up 3/4 to Monterey. And then we finish off with the good old Russian River. So, and this is really a cuvee of where you can grow really nice Pinot in California. Put it all together, and you're drinking this blend
Mhm.
of what California can grow for quality. There's some other areas where they're growing some Pinot, but we're not going to talk about those.
It's Cuvée, does that
Blend.
mean
It's just a
blend?
blend.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I mean, that's good. Use it, but I
Yeah.
just need the explanation.
You know, it's
for what it
interesting.
meant.
They use it for multiple ways. It just means blend.
Mhm.
cuvee can be used for multiple locations,
Mhm.
multiple grapes, or multiple vintages. So it's a blend.
So anything that's not single varietal, you could call a cuvee? No?
Yeah, you could, but really it's more about same varietal, different options is the
Okay.
more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
Want me to?
Sorry, I know I wanted to.
I know you have to drink sometimes too.
Come on, okay. So we went through that. That actually, I think that's really fun. That
Mhm.
you're kind of drinking really nice growth areas of Pinot Noir in California, all in a glass. The best of each one playing around together.
So do they own all of those places or they're purchasing from other?
They're purchasing. So
Okay.
they are what they would say in France is a negociant.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the winery itself. Let's jump back over. And its history has always been as a negociant. This is Prisoner Wine Company. Prisoner Wine Company is was started by Dave Finney. Dave Finney, his first major production was Prisoner before he sold it. And then after that, it's Orrin Swift. And then he also does the locations wines as well. So Dave Finney makes some amazing, amazing wines, but he has always been a negociant as well.
Okay. Strictly negociant? They don't grow any of their own?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
You know, they purchase their grapes. They source wonderful grapes and then purchase them, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So Dave Finney started Prisoner Wine, and then he sold it off to Constellation Brands. Interestingly, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. He never made a Pinot. The Constellation has since then formulated this Pinot Noir to add a Pinot to their lineup. And what I think is really kind of fun is that at this point, this is a woman-controlled, a female, controlled winemaking group. Chrissy Whitman is the director of winemaking, and Nikki Williams is the winemaker on record for all of these. So this is an all-female creation and control within this very popular wine.
That's awesome.
You know, and not just this one. I mean, Prisoner as a whole. So I mean, it's a major powerhouse, and I think that's kind of great.
Yeah.
Let's jump back up here. So the Pinot Noir grape itself, delicate skin, nuanced. It really picks up a lot of the qualities of the area in which it's grown, which is why a Pinot is such a great option for this cuvee of multiple areas to bring it together, because Pinot Noir is incredibly affected by where it's grown and how it's grown. And because it can be so finicky, it is the most expensive wine to create when it comes to just the grapes themselves. So because of that, I mean, if you take out winemaking techniques as being an expense, like Amarone, where they dry the grapes, you're going to lose some volume in there, and so it's more expensive. But so Pinot is expensive, which is why, like, if somebody says, "Oh, well," like I had someone come in the other day and they said, "Well, I don't want to spend more than X amount of money," which is fine. I don't care. But when you do that with Pinot, you can really drop off the pier, because Pinot is inherently expensive. So if you're getting a really cheap Pinot, and I'm talking about like $9 a bottle or something, you're really getting something that's got to have some other grapes in there. I mean, Pinot is just too expensive to have something that's tasty, down in that price point. Yeah. Yeah, it's expensive. It's hard to grow. It's finicky.
What's the easiest wine grape to grow?
There are grapes in the yard. Look, there's Moscato. No, I can't tell you for sure.
Okay. This one.
People talk about how difficult Pinot is to
Yeah.
grow. I don't know. They're like, this one was easy. Well, honestly, I mean, we talked about a little bit. Let's jump back. Well, why don't we do a little face-to-face? All right, so we did talk a little bit about some that are easy to grow, but hard to grow well. And that was the Pinotage. Pinotage was created to grow easily and be high production. But then they found that it was difficult to do that and have tasty wine. That was South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the other one was Tannat. That's why they grew Tannat down in Uruguay, because it was easy to grow and they gave them high production. But they found that it was really often not very palatable.
Mm.
So in the end, it isn't in order to get good wine. Actually, we were kind of talking about this today with several of my wine reps,
Mhm.
is that it's like, because of wine running around the world and having these incredible supply, because of the modern distribution system available with shipping and airlines and all that kind of thing, from the year, say, from the 90s through now, most areas of the world have had to really step up their wine game.
Hmm.
So someone to me was talking to me today about Abruzzo, and Montepulciano is the grape in Italy.
Mhm.
And it was just kind of a local, regionally produced thing. They didn't worry about it that much. They'd sell to a couple of villages or a couple of cities. And now they're making some beautiful wines, but they, the sons and granddaughters of the original are going to get a wine education. And what you're drinking out of there is vastly different. When you're drinking Chianti, jumped up to Tuscany. When you're drinking Chianti now versus Chianti 1978, you're drinking such a different creation, and it's so much
Because of
better
the competition.
because of the competition. They've all had to up their game,
That's
which
good.
is kind of fun. It's good for us as wine drinkers.
Yes.
Yay! And good for those that stepped up and either improved what they were making or sold out for somebody who was going to put the work in, which is very much I kind of was pushing through the world.
Right.
Because you hear time and time again now, oh, well, there was Chilean wine, but now there's Chilean wine. There was Argentinian, or there was Australian, and the Australians make great wine. So anyway, I think that's kind of a fun thought.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and Robin and Chris put in the chat, happy International Women's Day, belated.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause that
there we
just
go.
happened,
That's
right?
why you chose this one.
It
right?
was exactly why I chose it. You know what? Thank you. I am so forward thinking. It's amazing.
You are.
I'm
Yeah.
I did see that it came up the other day.
Mhm.
And I do now have another feather in my cap, because I have a local group in town that wants to do a tasting,
Mhm.
and it's a profession, and this profession within there is it's a women's organization within that profession. And I thought at the time when I was designing a tasting for them, we should do all women controlled wine.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
just makes
There you
sense.
go. So there's one more.
There's another
There
one,
you go. Mhm.
and it's a major wine.
Yeah.
It's a major award. But anyway, but Prisoner is no slouch. I mean, they make great wines. They're very popular for good reason.
Mhm.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I've never had their Pinot. I've had other wines of theirs.
Yes.
Not their Pinot.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, it's a newer product, and I think it's an excellent one. So let's jump
Over
back
there.
over. Yes, please.
We did this one.
Yep. Let's go on down to the grape anatomy. So here we have with Pinot is an interesting grape structure, and then it's more balanced. We talk about where the flavor comes from on the outside. Yes, it does, like other reds, but it's not a particularly thick-skinned grape. So it has this area, but it's not particularly thick-skinned. So in order to get those really nice qualities, you have to grow it well. You have to grow it correctly, because yes, all the flavor, not all but much of the flavor is coming from here. But if you over ripen it and such, it's very quickly going to turn into something that is not nearly as palatable. And they do have a really nice amount of acidity, which I think we're drinking in here. And Pinot Noir can be very, very acidic. I mean, if you get the Burgundian in a really nice cold growth area, it can taste very much like smoke in cranberries.
Okay.
So there's that range that it can go on. Yep, it's a great grape. it has such a big spectrum of flavors
Mhm.
that it can exhibit, which I think is really intriguing. And I think this guy is delicious. This is a bit more on my style side of it. I
Mhm.
really do like the Californians. Not not as big a fan sometimes when they over oak it with young oak because it can be overwhelmed by the oak very easily. So all of a sudden you
Too
just
vanilla.
do too much vanilla. You're just getting a vanilla raspberry delivery system or
Okay.
something like that, But done, worked with by a really nice, winemaker, you can really see what their imprint, what their decision was on what wine they wanted to make, because there is so much you can do with it. We talked about the wine company. This is
Their entrance
really
is
cool,
really cool.
right?
Mhm. Oh, the entrance are actually the backside, but
I
very cool.
believe that's the entrance. It is really cool looking.
Jeff, what was the second wine company you named? You said Prisoner, and he's also,
Orin
Dave
Swift.
was also, again?
Orin Swift.
ORIN?
Yeah, Orin. Orin Swift.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. It's the middle names of his grandfathers, if I remember correctly.
Hey, Jeff, we used to buy Prisoner wine all the time, and then when they sold it, the actual Prisoner, we really like Prisoner itself. But then when they sold it, it came out as a different, the same recipe or something like that came out as a different wine in the Lost in the Desert or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they named it. But can you actually get a Prisoner wine like
Yes.
the same
Prisoner.
recipe that they had before?
Yes, Prisoner Red Blend is still the same. Yep, it's a Zinfandel dominant red blend. It's absolutely delicious. And then 8 Years in the Desert is the Orin Swift side, which Dave Finney was not allowed to make anything with Zinfandel in it for 8 years after he
Oh.
sold Prisoner, because they didn't want him to immediately make a competing wine. Fair enough on that decision, I get it. And so 8 years was how long he had to wait until he could work with Zinfandel again. And that's why his Orin Swift, Dave Finney's Orin Swift, 8 Years in the Desert,
Mhm.
was named after the 8-year waiting period when he had to wait to work with Zinfandel again.
But the one that he's looking for is the Prisoner.
The Prisoner, regular Prisoner, still totally
Oh.
available.
Okay. Do you carry it?
Yes.
You do?
Yep. Yeah, the Prisoner wines are fantastic. They really are. They're excellent. I carry the Dave Finney and the Orin Swift and the Prisoner, and the locations for that matter. I mean, Dave Finney is a great winemaker.
Locations is where does he still have both the Orin Swift and the location then, or has he sold either one of those? Because he sold Prisoner.
He sold, if he sold Orin Swift, then I don't know it.
Okay.
And I don't believe he sold the
Is
location.
this line being affected by our distributor that just sold?
No, this one we
Okay.
get to keep buying.
Okay, good.
Yes, we'll talk about that at the end. Distribution. Let's go ahead and finish up the last couple of screens, and then we can finish off.
I think you know how to share a screen now. I think you just like me to do it for
I
you.
do. It makes me feel special. All right, so here we have 92 points that we said on the way in. This guy normally hits 91, 92 points year in, year out. An outstanding wine of superior character and style. I do really like that it is a blending of these different locations in California and gives us a little bit of all of it instead of just some of each. And I think that it coalesces into a very beautiful but powerful Pinot Noir that has some really nice, it's a little something for everybody. I think, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree, and I really would like you to. I think this is a Pinot that cab drinkers can drink and say, okay, I'm drinking a nice, and not just feel like, oh, it's weak, it's watery, it's, and that kind of a thing, which are not necessarily something I agree with about Pinot Noir, but something that I hear commonly from Cabernet Sauvignon drinkers when they drink Pinot Noir. So what are you guys thinking? Enjoying it?
As that person who normally says the Pinot Noirs aren't enough, I love it. It's really, actually, Brian described it better than me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the balance of this wine is like that. The balance is the superior character of style. So I would say it's outstanding because of the balance. Like it's
Nice.
nothing really flies out at me as, oh, cherries or raspberries or whatever. It's just very, very well balanced.
I love it. I do. And actually it really has changed a little bit as we've been talking, or I've been talking.
So
nonstop.
that balance comes from those different areas that they're pulling from then.
Yeah, Linda keeps talking about the balance also, and I like how, to me, it's big, and I like that.
Yeah, I'm also a fan of prisoner wines.
Loves Prisoner.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I really thought this would be a fun Pinot to drink because it is in that more robust side, but it is wonderfully balanced. I think it's a delicious wine. It really makes me happy. So
I think Jerry was saying something before too.
It's one of the best Pinots I've had in California.
nice.
Yeah, almost as good as the Oregon ones, but no, I mean,
Actually, now that you mentioned that, that's a good point, because I was thinking, like, when you said this is almost one of the best Pinots I've had, I was like, man, I love this. And I'm like, man, is it? And you added from California, and I'm like, that's right. This is a Californian one, not just. And I was trying to think. I was like, I think most of the ones I like are probably Oregon or Washington. I think this is great though. I love this.
Fantastic. Good. I'm glad you guys agree. I was excited to make this one of the wines because I really do enjoy this wine a lot. And I think Prisoner is just killing it. I mean, they're making fantastic wines. And it goes to show you, like we talk about, like, and I say this regularly, it's fun when we're drinking something. It's like, oh, wow, only 500 cases produced. And, and I met the winemaker, and which is wonderful. I love when I can say that. But, other people that are putting the work into making great wine you need to drink that wine too. I mean, it's a great wine. It's fantastic. All right, we'll finish up and get to what next week's wine will be.
Okay.
All right, so there we are. All right, so actually, as we often say, right in the dead center of where you should be growing wine. So no shocker that when you've got Pacific coastal influences all along there, that California makes great wine. Yep. So that one works. Probably at this point, because I really love this slide, but we've been doing it each week for a little while, so I'll probably retire it pretty soon. But I still find it awesome. Actually, maybe I'll do something like where I'll try and find out what percentage of that grape is grown around the world, even though next week it's going to be moot because there's only grown there. But but I actually, I kind of wish, I'm like, hey, how much Pinot is grown in different areas? Obviously, the vast majority of Pinot, it's probably going to be almost, and this is the same perspective, would be France.
Okay.
And that's where it's hugely grown, and then the United States. So.
Not Italy.
Not much.
Okay.
Some, but not much. Yeah, it's really going to be France and then the U.S.
Yeah.
Because there's not even one. It's like, oh, is it called by a different name in Spain?
That's
Or I mean, nope. I mean, Chile grows some really good Pinot Noir as well. Some from Argentina, but not nearly as much as we do. And I have no idea which.
I know I've asked this question before and I don't remember the answer to it. So Pinot Noir is Pinot Noir everywhere it's grown. It's called that same thing?
The Italians actually sometimes call it a different name. I think it's Pinot Nero.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, but almost always it's,
all right. So why is it that some grapes get to keep their name and some grapes have to change their name?
I think it has everything to do with when it began to be grown in that country.
Okay.
So you go back to something that's been around for a long time.
And it has a different name.
Then it often does. Even though, then Australia puts the Y to it because it hasn't been as long there. And they called it Shiraz, but the Mourvedre is one of the main ones that has a lot of different names. And I like to think, well, it's because, maybe it was because the Romans were the ones planting it. And I don't really know for sure. I can't. But some of them do have a lot more. I think it has to do with how long they've been grown in those areas. But then again, the Australians were like, nope, not saying Syrah, it Shiraz. And now the South Africans are calling some of their Shiraz.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, you know what? If it's tasty, I'll drink it.
Absolutely. Is the one week on the next one?
I believe it is.
Okay, would you like to review?
So the next wine we're going to be drinking, we are heading to Sicily. All right, we're going to be drinking Nero de Avola. Il Moro is the name of the wine, but it's 100% Nero de Avola. So the very southern tip of Italy. This guy, drink it with barbecue, bacon cheeseburgers, beef knotwurst. It is kind of the ultimate barbecue wine.
Okay.
Or, well, you might hear me say that more than once, but this is one of the fantastic barbecue wines.
This is the one I had this weekend, right?
Yes, that's the one you had.
He just poured me 2 glasses of different reds and said, here, pick which one you like better. And this is the one I picked. And he's like, good, we're drinking that.
I was so relieved. She said, I really want this one. And
I liked them both, but I liked that one better.
Right. Hey, and by the way, look at what I did here. We're under the 90-point rating. Oh no! Can we drink it? Yes, we can drink it. 89 points is really good.
I'm just not attending now. I don't know.
89, forget it.
No, 89. What kind of swill are you slinging, Jeff?
I'm not a beat student.
Sicily's where we saw wine in the grocery store for 1.75 euros, and people were snarfing it up. The local.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I don't know how much that is in, what, you're muted.
How's that? Yeah, we felt like we were paying too much to pay 9 euros, but got home with 8 bottles somewhere. I'll have to see if I got one of these. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Couple of years.
What is 1.75 euros? Is that like $3?
Maybe, yeah, on a good day, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But you know, if the local people were buying it, and this was regular shoppers.
Oh, right.
We didn't know what we're doing. We went to some wine shop down in the middle of town, and it was not a tourist place.
Oh.
They weren't that cheap. But they, 10 euros, 15 euros, that was it.
Right. No, that's amazing. Well, I think you guys are really going to like this wine. It's got a ton of character, and it's delicious and fun.
I really liked it.
You liked it. So, all right. Well, I got to get a top off here.
Any more?
Any other
comments,
thoughts while I
questions?
pour the toast?
No? Okay.
All right. Thank you all for coming. I look forward to talking to you guys in the after party.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Launcha.